Hey everybody, it's Dave here from Dragonhill Games, and welcome to the Theros Beyond Death Planeswalker deck opening, the Elspeth version. If you're interested in checking out the Ashiok version, which is the other one, I will put the link to that in the top right corner right here. Okay, we're going to bust this open and see what you guys can expect to find inside the Elspeth Planeswalker deck. Alright. So this should be laid out in typical Planeswalker deck fashion. We should find, of course, the Planeswalker deck inside here, as well as a couple of booster packs. Alright. So we'll get to Elspeth in just a moment. And then, of course, we have the Elspeth deck box. So that's pretty sweet that that's included with that. And, yep, we have the Elspeth deck, a couple of Theros Beyond Death booster packs, and an instruction manual. All right. So first off, we'll look inside these Theros Beyond Death packs, because there's always that excitement with what's in the booster. Alright, and our rare for this booster was Shadowspear. I think this thing's really cool, and actually a lot of the people in my store sort of have the same opinion. So it's a legendary artifact equipment, and it's only 1 mana to cast it. An equipped creature gets +1/+1 and has trample and lifelink. And then you can pay 1 and permanents your opponent's control lose hexproof and indestructible until end of turn, with an equip cost of 2. So this is really going to be utilized, I think, in Commander, but a lot of potential sort of standard uses, well, really across sort of all formats, you know, as well. All right, pack number 2. Okay, so in this pack, our rare was Dryad of the Lysian Grove, and it's 1 green and 2 for an enchantment creature nymph. It's a 2/4, and you may play an additional land on each of your turns. Lands you control are every basic type in addition to their other types. So pretty sweet green card for sure. Really nice with sort of some sort of green ramp strategy. And then we got a foil escape velocity, so that's pretty cool. And then, of course, all the booster packs from Theros Beyond Death come with one of these full art Nyx lands, so that's also a very nice addition to this set for sure. Alright, so let's have a look at the Planeswalker you get with this deck. So, it's Elspeth Undaunted Hero, and her casting cost is a 3 white and 2 for legendary Planeswalker Elspeth, and she enters the battlefield with 5 loyalty counters on her. She has a +2 ability where you can put a +1/+1 counter on each of up to 2 target creatures, and her -2 ability is search your library and or graveyard for a card named Sunlit Hoplite and put it onto the battlefield. If you search your library this way, shuffle it. And then her ultimate ability is a -8. Until end of turn, creatures you control gain flying and get +X/+X, where X is your devotion to white. So pretty sweet Planeswalker. Alright, what I'm going to do is I'm going to open this deck up. I'm going to sort everything by quantity and rarity, and then we'll go through the deck and talk about how it's meant to operate. Alright, I'll be back in just a second. Alright, we're back. So first off, I just did want to mention that when you buy this Planeswalker deck, and actually any Planeswalker deck, you always get an arena code, which is good for the entire deck on Arena. So that's pretty sweet too. Alright, so let's start out with the rares. So you get 3 rares, 2 different ones. And the first one is a Tartanica, our Cronin Veteran. So this guy is 2 white and 1, a legendary creature, a human soldier, and he's a 3/3 with vigilance. And whenever Tartanica, a Cronin veteran, attacks, untap another target creature you control. Until end of turn, that creature has base power and toughness 4/4 and gains indestructible. So this guy's really good. This deck is all about, putting out a bunch of creatures and then sort of buffing them up with various sort of buff spells. It has quite a few flyers as well. So this guy just sort of fits into that strategy where, we attack with maybe some smaller guys and just kind of turn them into 4/4s and make them indestructible. Really handy in a deck like this for sure. And the other rare in this deck is Elspeth's Devotee, and we get 2 of these. Every Planeswalker deck kind of also includes these guys, and they're basically tutors for your Planeswalker. So how it works is for 2 white and 2, we get a creature human soldier. It's a 3/3. And when Elspeth's Devotee enters the battlefield, you may search your library and or graveyard for a card named Elspeth Undaunted Hero. Reveal it and put it into your hand. If you search your library this way, shuffle it. So as I mentioned, this basically, you just play this guy, go get your Elspeth, and you have her back again. Alright, let's move along to the uncommons. So we do get 1 Constellation uncommon, and I like to say this is a really cool looking one. The Constellation version cards are available for all the gods and demigods in the Theros Beyond Death set. So this particular one, and it fits very well into this deck's strategy, is Dyxos Blessed by the Sun. So Dyxos is 2 white for a legendary creature, enchantment creature, demigod, and he is a 2-star. So Dyxos' toughness is equal to your devotion to white, and whenever another creature you control enters the battlefield or dies, you gain 1 life. Alright, up next, and we have 2 of these, is Archon of Falling Stars. So Archon of Falling Stars is 2 white and 4. It's a creature, Archon, and it has a base power and toughness 4/4. It's a flyer, and whenever Archon of Falling Stars dies, you may return target enchantment card from your graveyard to the battlefield. So remember, things like these enchantment creatures, obviously these could be targets for things like your Archon. And again, we get 2 of those in the deck. Up next, we have Eidolon of Inspiration. So Eidolon of Inspiration is 2 white and 1. It's an enchantment creature spirit, a 2/2. At the beginning of combat on your turn, target creature you control gets +2/+0 until end of turn. So again, fitting into the theme where, our guys are kind of small, start out small, and we just kind of buff them up and make them into monsters. And we get 3 of those in this deck. Alright. And up next, we have Hero of the Winds, and there's 2 copies of this in the deck. Hero of the Winds is a 1 white and 3 for a creature human soldier. It's a 1/4 with flying, and whenever you cast a spell that targets Hero of the Winds, creatures you control get +1/+0 until end of turn. So again, sticking with the sort of buffing up our creatures theme. And finally, our last uncommon, which we also get 2 of, is Phalanx Tactics. So Phalanx Tactics is a 1 white and 1. It's an instant, and target creature you control gets +2/+1 until end of turn. Each other creature you control gets +1/+1 until end of turn. So pretty sweet buff spell for only 2 mana and an instant. I mean, we're giving one guy +2/+1, and all of our other stuff +1/+1. Okay, let's move along to the commons. So, if you remember, this is Sunlit Hoplite. If you remember on our Elspeth, we had the -2 ability where we can search our library and or graveyard for a creature, or for a card named Sunlit Hoplite, and put it onto the battlefield. If you search your library this way, shuffle it. So Elspeth's -2 ability goes and gets 1 of these dudes. Alright, so we have 4 of these in our deck. It's 1 white and 1. It's a creature, human soldier, and as long as it's your turn, Sunlit Hoplite has first strike. And Sunlit Hoplite gets +1/+0 as long as you control an Elspeth Planeswalker. So 2 mana for a 2/1 guy. If it's our turn, it has first strike. If we have our Elspeth, then it's gets +1/0, becomes a 3/1 sort of first striker on our turn. Pretty solid little creature. We do have a full playset of them in our deck. And they kind of just work really well in tandem with the Elspeth, of course. So, pretty cool include, I think. Anyway. Alright, up next we have Karametra's Blessing. And this is 1 white mana for an instant. and target creature gets +2/+2 until end of turn. If it's an enchanted creature or enchantment creature, it also gains hexproof and indestructible until end of turn. So pretty nice way to keep one of our creatures alive, and we get 3 copies of this in the deck. Alright, up next we have Indomitable Will, which is 1 white and 1. It's an enchantment aura, and it has flash. Enchant creature, and enchanted creature gets +1/+2. So pretty straightforward. We get 3 of these, and this is the kind of thing where you just surprise your opponent when they're attacking in, or you just flash it onto your guys after they declare blockers if they don't block something, just to get that little bit of extra damage in there. And it's a nice little 2 mana to permanently buff up one of your creatures. Alright, up next we have a Dreadful Apathy, and this is 1 white and 2. It's an enchantment aura, enchant creature. Enchanted creature can't attack or block, so like a pacifism type effect, and we can pay 1 white and 2 exile enchanted creature. So at a later point in the game, we can use sort of excess mana to just completely get rid of the creature. And we get 3 of those in the deck. Okay, up next we have Leonin of the Lost Pride. So, Leonin of the Lost Pride is 1 white and 2. It's a creature, cat warrior, a 3/1. And when Leonin of the Lost Pride dies, exile target card from an opponent's graveyard. So this works really well if you're going heads up against the Ashiok deck. The Ashiok deck really does make a lot of use of the graveyard. So a card like this is really nice for kind of just sort of picking apart threats that are in their graveyard, and we get a full play set of 4 of those in the deck. And finally, we also have a full play set of a Daybreak Chimera. So Daybreak Chimera is 2 white and 3. This spell, it's a creature chimera, a 3/3 flyer, and this spell costs X less to cast, where X is your devotion to white. So, although it's really heavily costed at 5 mana for a 3/3 flyer, it would be fairly easy to be casting this guy, especially mid-game, for kind of 2 or 3 mana, which is really good value for a 3/3 flyer for sure. And like I said, we do get 4 of those in the deck. And then we have, of course, a bunch of plains. It's just a mono-white deck, so all the lands that are included are plains. And that's the deck, folks. I really hope you enjoyed this look inside the Elspeth Planeswalker deck. If you did, go ahead and smash that like button. It really helps me out. All right, bye for now.